If there is one thing that I love more than the character Batman, it's the universe that surrounds him. Especially his rogues gallery with the most famous villains of the comic books and other medias. Everybody knows and loves the Joker, the Riddler, Catwoman, Penguin, Harley Quinn, but I do have a special love for the most dark and sinister villains of this gallery, like Scarecrow, Mr. Freeze, the Monsters Killer Croc, Man-Bat, and last but not least, Clayface, the gigantic metamorph of clay, who can transform into any person and create deadly weapons with his powers. Although these villains are the least seen in medias, for example the movies or TV shows, but there is one media that explores the character masterfully, creating in my opinion its definitive version. Of course I'm talking about Batman the animated series, and the time has arrived. Finally I'm gonna talk about this wonderful masterpiece here in my channel. My name is Gus, but you can call me BATGUS, and just to be clear, this video that you are watching now was originally made for another channel of mine called TRASHIN WITH GUS that talks about horror movies, action movies, and stuff. If you are a fan of this content, please go there and subscribe to that channel as well. I will leave the link right down here in the description. So just to explain, during this video, you're gonna see the background of that channel, but don't worry, because this is a perfect video for this Bat channel. Batman the Animated Series had its start in 1992, and it was the beginning of the wonderful expanded universe of DC Comics in animations from the 90s to the year 2000s. Starting with Batman the Animated Series, Batman the New Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, Static Shock, Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited, besides its animated features. And during the two Batman original series, there were 4 episodes that explored the origins of the villain Clayface and his evolution. He showed up in other episodes as well, but let's focus on these episodes that are the ones focused on him and the most amazing. The first 2 episodes are called Feet of Clay Part 1 and 2. In this story we meet the actor Matt Hagen that once was a very and handsome actor from old movies. After a car accident, he becomes deformed and receives the visit of a criminal industrial named Roland Daggett that offers him a new cream that is capable of shape the face of any person to their own desires. A product that was produced only by his company. This cream helped the actor to go back to his career because he could go back to normal temporarily by using it. The problem is that in order to have the cream, Daggett started asking some illegal favors in exchange for it. For example, in one night, Matt Hagen has to transform into Bruce Wayne to do an exchange of confidential documents that could expose Daggett. In this exchange, he incriminates Wayne, and it is there that Batman enters the game to try prove the innocence of his alter ego Bruce Wayne. This is when Hagen decides that he doesn't want to do these illegal favors anymore, and he needs an unlimited source of the cream. So he goes to the Daggett Industries to steal the product, but is caught by some of Daggett's goons, and they throw a great quantity of the product on Hagen to kill him. This results in Hagen's molecular structure being altered by the product, and in the end of the episode he becomes the Clayface monster. The second part starts with Clayface testing his powers, learning to control them, and going after revenge against Daggett and his goons. This is when he meets Batman and both fight. One of the coolest things in this origin 2-parter episode is the tragedy of a successful actor that became something that he feared the most, a monster. Although the subplot of him being an actor is used very well, since that he can literally transform into any other person. I bet some method actors would love to have this kind of power. Naturally, I will have to mention spoilers if I want to go deep into these episodes. So if you haven't watched them, please do it and then come back to this analysis. This idea of the image is exactly what Batman uses to defeat the villain in the end. In a very intelligent play, the Bat realizes that Clayface reproduces the images of other things or people around him involuntarily. So to keep his physical integrity when imitating another character, he needs to have a lot of concentration. So at the climax, both have a final fight on a TV studio where Batman lures Clayface to a room filled with TV monitors. There, he reproduces the image of Matt Hagen as all of his characters in his career in each of the monitors. This confuses the villain and makes him have a mental and physical breakdown. One of the most disturbing and superb scenes of the animation. And after that, he disintegrates and disappears, leaving a plot twist that I will let you guys watch when you go see the episode. By the way, the real actor who voices the character Matt Hagen Clayface is none other than Ron Perlman, our wonderful Hellboy. After these great episodes, the next time Clayface would show up in the series would be many episodes later, in the episode called Mudslide, possibly my favorite of these 4 episodes. In this one, Clayface returns to Gotham, now after an experiment produced by a laboratory that can help him restore his physical integrity, maybe helping him to become Matt Hagen again. This time, he is being helped by a doctor who lives in a house over a hill. She has feelings for him since she is a fan of his old movies. So he meets Batman again and a new fight ensues. This is my favorite episode because it has a classic horror movie tone to it. The animation is extremely dark and filled with scenes of body horror. There are 2 scenes in special that I love. In one of them, Clayface enters a train filled with passengers transformed into a scientist from a lab. Because he is having difficulties in maintaining his physical integrity, he starts to melt in front of the other passengers, frightening everyone around. It's brilliant. And another scene more towards the end, where Clayface swallows Batman and tries to keep him buried inside his body, until he stops breathing and his heart stops beating. And we see the shape of the bat trying to get rid of him. Of course, that he manages to escape in the end. And this final fight has what I think is the most atmospheric and gothic setting of a climax in this animation, with the hero fighting the villain on the edge of a precipice of a hill where the house of the doctor is, under a heavy rain with lightnings, a classic mood of a horror movie. And again, spoilers, the episode finishes with Clayface not managing to keep his integrity and falling from the cliff, probably to his supposed death in the sea. It's very dark and gothic. And don't forget about this ending because it will be important later. Anyway, the character showed up twice in the mythology of the series later, first in a video game called The Adventures of Batman and Robin in the Sega Genesis console. He appears disguised as Rupert Thorne, a gangster of Gotham. And then in the second phase of the animation, which is Batman the New Animated Series, he showed up in the first episode that is called Holiday Nights, that has 3 individual stories that take place during 3 different holidays. He is part of a story that takes place during Christmas, where he faces Batgirl, but is a brief appearance. His real first story in the series is the episode Growing Pains, in a plot that features both Batman and Robin Tim Drake as heroes, and I do believe this is the most tragic story with the character in the animation, although the tragedy part doesn't come from him. Here we have a story of a girl that is lost in Gotham and without memory of who she is. Then Robin shows up and saves her from some criminals. After that, they both end up friends and the boy starts to have some feelings towards her, trying to help her to remember of her past. Meanwhile, the girl starts to be followed by a big guy who presents himself as being her father, a guy that seems to have a super strength and resistance. And this is where you ask, what does the story has to do with Clayface? Hold on. During the episode, the girl starts to remember some things of her past, and this takes her and Robin to a chemical plant near a lighthouse by the ocean. Inside the plant, her father shows up again and reveals himself as being Clayface. And again, spoilers. Soon after, it's revealed that the girl is also a Clayface, at least a part of him. What happens is that when Clayface was disintegrated in the sea, probably after the events of the episode Mudslide, he got in touch with the chemical products being thrown away by the plant. Something in them helped him to reintegrate himself, but since he didn't know where he was, he created this bean in the shape of a girl to go out in Gotham and find out his location. Although after getting too far from him, she forgot about who she was and her past. And this is where Robin found her, which means the story comes full circle. And the climax of the episode is the most tragic, because in the final battle, things don't end well for the character of the girl, which ends up being very sad for Robin. This is another excellent episode with a story that is quite creative and filled with heart. Something that not all the episodes in this animation are, but certainly most of them have. Two cool details about this episode can be noticed. First, the possible connection with the episode Mudslide that ended with Clayface falling into the ocean, so much so that I ignore his other two appearances in the mythology of the series. And the other interesting thing is that the girl in the episode has a very interesting design that is clearly inspired in animes. After that, Clayface only showed up again in Justice League, which he is part of a group of villains. But again, his appearance is very brief and doesn't have much importance. Anyway, I love the Clayface character, and I would like to see more interactions of him in other medias, especially in live action. There are heavy rumors that the director Mike Flanagan from Dr. Sleep and the TV shows The Haunting of the Hill House and Midnight Mass is developing a Clayface spin-off movie that will take place in the universe of Robert Pattinson's Batman. And I'm very excited about this news, although I would like that the story, whichever it is, would feature Batman in it. Even though he is a side character, I don't care. But a story of Clayface without Batman doesn't make much sense for me. Anyway, let's wait for more news in the future, but for now we have these 4 amazing episodes that are available on HBO Max if you want to watch them. Like I said, they feature my definite version of the character, at the same time that Batman the Animated Series is my definitive version of the character in any media. I know it's polemic, but that's the truth. And I love Batman so much that I also produced a very trash and handmade short animation of the character, and it is in another channel of mine of animations called Joe Ripper. The name of the short movie is Batman the Darkest Knight, and it features a very tragic and different story for the character. So if you'd like to watch, I will leave the link right here in the description of the video and in the card of the screen. And if you liked this video and would like for me to talk about more episodes of Batman the Animated Series, and probably the other DC animated series as well, please don't forget to subscribe and leave your like in this video. And this is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next Trashing with Gus, and bye bye.